Shalom, y'all. Shalom. I want to say all praises, glory, honor, power belongs to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is Brother Yeshaya coming at you with a Wisdom Wednesday, and don't want to be too long because it's late. I only got a few precepts written down, but always by the Spirit is how, we get on here and deliver a message to the people. The brother, there you go, right there.
Shalom.
Button this. I don't know why I'm putting this up. But don't want to be before you all too long. The lesson is titled, or the wisdom lesson is titled, "Can't Win for Losing," right? And I'll be the first to admit that in life, sometimes it feels just like this, man. And when you're going through the struggle, anything that you're doing in life, you just sometimes feel like you're in that position to where like, no matter what you do, you always come out on the bottom. But brothers are here to tell you that it's not that you can't win for losing, right? You pretty much lose when you stop trying to win, and that's really what it is. You know what I'm saying? People feel like, man, I can't do nothing right. Well, actually, that's a lie. You're doing a lot of things right. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not doing nothing right, if you begin to do those things right and still nothing changes, then count it all joy, right? But we'll get some precepts to understand, what is being brought out. Let me get this real quick. So, like, I should have already had it pulled up.
I'll volunteer to read.
Okay, Con. Goodness gracious. Galatians 5:22. Let's start there.
Gotcha.
Galatians 5:22. And Con, before the brother reads this, I definitely want to say that. Matter of fact, you can go ahead and read it, and I'll bring that out afterwards. I'll bring that out after Salat. But you can go ahead and read that in verse 23 as well.
Khan, the book of Galatians, chapter 5 and verse 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith.
Salat, my bad. I gotta pull up the 23rd verse. Khan.
Meekness, temperance, against such there is no law.
So let me try that again. I'm gonna have you read that again, so that way I ain't mess up the flow of the, the reader's voice, so that way everybody can understand what's being read. So I'll read it. You can read it from this screen right here.
Gone. Verse 22. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law.
Right. Can you read verse 25 real quick?
Khan, if we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit.
Khan. So 2 things I want to point out. This lesson was kind of inspired by the brother Azrael's Instagram post that he made yesterday when he was driving in his truck. And he was pretty much talking about, if you're going through hard times, man, the Most High is going to try you in 3 different ways. And one of them is patience, one of them is persistence, and one of them is integrity, right? Because in life, sometimes, again, people have this feeling where it's like you can't win for losing. So you feel like you get to a point where it don't matter what you do, whether you stay the course or not, you just fail at everything. And sometimes, bro, that's not necessarily true, right? Sometimes, again, like the brother said, the Most High is testing you in 3 different ways: patience, persistence, and integrity. But could you read, Brother Danal, read verse 22 and 23 again?
But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law.
Gone. So verse 25 says, if we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Well, what are we reading right here? Galatians 5:22 and 23. We're reading the fruits of the Spirit, right? Now, one thing I want to point out is that, again, some of these fruits are specific to a lot of times what you're going through, or to be even more direct, some of these fruits are specific to what the brother Azrael brought out: long suffering, temperance, faith. Having these 3 different things, right, is important to you. I guess you could say it's important for your growth and development in this truth, in this walk, in life in general, right? You got to long suffer, right? You got to endure some things. You got to have faith, though, that these things will change around at a certain point. And you got to keep that integrity, right? You gotta keep that sense of integrity, right? Or a sense of humbleness, which is referred to as meekness about yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you don't stay humble, if you just get prideful and say, you know what, screw it, I'ma just do my own thing. The brother brought out an example, was talking about how people will lie on their resume. If you begin to lie or you begin to scam, you begin to rob and steal, then you're robbing yourself of staying in the spirit, the fruits of the spirit that our big brother Christ showed us an example to be, right? That's why I wanted the brother to read verse 25, because it says, if we live in the spirit, let us also walk in the spirit, right? Let me bring up another precept real quick. I was trying to find that video, but I couldn't find it. Why am I typing it in on King? I was trying to find a video on YouTube that went with this lesson earlier, but I just couldn't find it for some reason. I can't remember the title of it. But let me type it in right here. Proverbs 16:32. Could you read this, my brother Babakasha?
Khan.
Which means please. Let me see. Share this tab instead. Okay. Khan, here we go.
Khan. Proverbs 16:32. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh the city.
Khan. So we read these precepts. We've read these precepts before on live, and I know a lot of times it may seem like, brothers get on here and kind of give, baby back or piggyback lessons, right? Kind of just go over some of the same topics, but it's necessary because we try to stay true to what the people are going through at the current time. There's a time and place where brothers may give a breakdown of prophecy or go into, different things, understanding of the scriptures, right? But there's also a time when you come in here, man, you got to continue to encourage the people to endure hard affliction, right? Acts 14:22. Like this past Sabbath, the brother Denal just did a lesson about understanding, what is lawful to do good on the Sabbath. There's a time to go into understand how to keep the commandments. There's a time to go into understanding the breakdowns and prophecies, but there's also a time when you got to come and you got to say something again, right? You got to shout it from the mountaintops and repeat it, because sometimes you forget that every time you say something could be the first time somebody hears it. So it's good to kind of go back and bring these things up, even if it's constant, never get tired of going back to the milk, hearing a good word, right? So again, he that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh the city, right? If you rule your spirit, you'll be better than, warriors that go and destroy cities, right? If you just have a sense of patience and be slow to anger, slow to get frustrated about certain things, and you'll be better than a mighty man. And that's what people have to consider when we're brothers are giving lessons or trying to give some wisdom on how to handle life situations. Don't take it, and say, yeah, we get it. We've heard it before. Maybe the Lord is have us do lessons like these, or maybe the Lord puts it on our spirit to say these things for somebody to hear it and receive it and truly hearken unto it. It doesn't always just take one time for something to be said and now we should never speak on it again, right? Sometimes you got to go back and you got to, again, I just said it again, you got to go back and you got to keep training that mind to truly hearken into what the word of the Lord says in regards to ruling over your spirit, right? Let me bring out another precept, though. I want to go to the book of Matthew, chapter 7, and we're going to start at verse number 15. Matthew 7:15. Let me just do Matthew 7, because if I pull up 15, it's going to do this thing. So let me go down to verse. Let me start at verse 16. Con, so you can read this, brother. Matthew 7, starting at verse 16.
Matthew 7:16. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles?
Mm-hmm.
Even
Keep
so,
reading.
even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a
Uh-huh.
corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither
Mm-hmm.
can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit.
Right. You're gonna keep reading to verse 20.
Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and
Mm-hmm.
cast into the fire. Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them.
Right. So the reason I wanted the brother to actually read and not me, Salaki, not me break down in the midst of him reading, because I want people to understand what Christ was saying right here. Right. You're not getting new wine out of an old bottle. Let's put it that way. So the same way you're not getting new wine out of an old bottle is the same way that you're not going to reap good fruit from a bad tree. And if you're a person that has a bad spirit on you, you're not going to reap good things in life because your spirit is off, right? What did Galatians 7 say? I mean, Galatians 5 say, for if we live in the spirit, then we must walk by the spirit, right? Because there are fruits of the spirit that we should be bearing. And that is love, joy, peace, meekness, goodness, gentleness, faith, long suffering, temperance, right? All these things must you have in order to endure the afflictions in life that make you say these things like can't win for losing. You know, the only time you truly lose is when you give up. That's when you lose patience. That's why going back to Proverbs 16, what does it say? He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh the city. If you truly can know how to rule your spirit, man, and a lot of people truly don't have that power. And it's not that you don't have it, it's just you haven't been able to overcome the temptations or vices that caused you to fall short. So if you learn how to have that sense of power and pride that, hey, I'm not going to let, Satan tempt me and cause me to fall off, or I'm not going to let this situation, make me angry. And then I shorten my life by committing sin to get something that I want or need in this lifetime, right? There's a consequence for every action that we commit. So sometimes you just got to consider the cost, man, and realize that the Most High gave us power. Matter of fact, let me pull that precept. What is that? James 1:7. I want to say that's James 1:7. Nope, James. Wait, let me try. James 2. Wait, hold on. Let me before I think that. No. Hold on real quick. What's that? Dang, I just left my mind. I was trying to find that precept that said, maybe you know it, brother. No, that precept that says, for God have not given us the spirit of fear. Maybe it's 2:7. Maybe it's 2:7. Let me try.
Is that in James?
I want to think. I think it's in James. I want to say. Let me try 2:7. Man, it's somewhere around here. Nope, it's not 2:7 either. Salat.
I feel like I just read this.
Salat.
It's not in Timothy.
I don't know. For some reason, I thought it was in James, man. For some reason, I thought that. I ain't gonna say it is emphatic.
Yes, yeah, I know I wasn't tripping. It's in 2 Timothy.
Oh, 2 Timothy. See that?
Yeah, 2 Timothy 1:7. You was right on the
Oh,
ad.
I was right about the 1:7, just wrong about the book.
I was about to say, I was like, I just read that and I just came out the book of Timothy.
Con. So 2 Timothy 1:7. I don't know why I was thinking James, but can you read this for me?
Con, the book of 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 7. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind.
Right. And the Lord didn't give us the spirit of fear. And a lot of times people think that fear and anger are two different spirits, but sometimes they one and the same, And I'm gonna tell you how. Like sometimes you got a dog that's aggressive, and you might think that dog is angry, but more realistically, that dog is actually scared. So they're running to defense to protect themselves from whatever they think you're trying to do to them. And humans misunderstand that spirit as being a spirit of aggression or being angry. Nah, that's more than likely the reason animals attack you, or dogs in specific, when they start showing teeth like that, is because they're scared of something. So they just go into that defense mode. And that's
Fight or
one thing
flight.
that people go ahead.
No, I was saying fight or flight, man. You guys, some people, some animals that when they get scared, they turn to fight, and then you got some that when they get scared, they flee. You know, and so I mean, and that same thing works in humans too. Me personally, I think that the Bible encourages us to walk away in these situations, right? Some people might look down on it, right? But other than to fight back, right? When we get in these things into altercations and stuff like that, man, where we can be getting angry, oftentimes, man, it's best to just walk away. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll be ruling your spirit that way. And a lot of people don't understand, man, what come with ruling your spirit comes with a level of peace, right? And
Right.
just like he says in this, he'll give you a power and of sound mind, right? If you operate in ruling your spirit correctly, that's what's gonna come versus the opposite, right? You're not gonna have a sound mind. You're probably gonna be kind of bugged out, always thinking everybody's against you, always feeling like you got to prove something, right? By your actions, dumb actions, right? And nowadays, man, you can't really risk it because people don't fight nowadays, man. They pull out that gun and stuff can get ugly really quick. You know what I'm saying? So it's best for you to rule your spirit, especially nowadays.
Gone. That's the only way you're going to be able to get out of this mindset of can't win for losing, right? Because life gets hard, challenges come. Even when you feel like things are starting to go right, something else makes you take a step, 20 steps back, or something else comes up and presents itself as an obstacle. You just kind of got to keep that mindset that no matter what's in front of me or who's in front of me, it ain't stopping me from getting what I came to get, or getting what I came for, right? I want you to read something, Brother Denal, but we're going to read it in a different version because I like the way it reads. It's easy to explain for the viewers who may not, be well versed in the King James. So let me share this tab, and this is going to be 1 Corinthians chapter 9, but you're going to read verse 24 through 27. I'll highlight it so that way people can see. So lock it, the highlight. You want me to take the highlight off of it?
Don't matter to me.
Well, I'll just highlight it so you can see.
1 Corinthians 9 and 24.
In the NLT.
In the NLT, do you realize that in a race everyone runs, but only one person gets the prize?
Right.
So run to win.
So Lakia. So when you think about it, man, Paul is right here is just giving wisdom. In a race, everybody is competing. Everybody, and I'm not going to use certain words because he's going to go in to explain the exact thing I'm going to say. But everybody is running in a race. You can't deny that, right? That's why sometimes we gotta, especially as people who go out and teach, you can't get caught up in your own affairs in life. And that's what I be telling brothers when I be texting them, or I haven't texted them for a long time, and I'll be like, man, I apologize. I be getting caught up in my own affairs sometimes. You can't really do that because everybody is going through the same thing, the race of life, the challenges of life, right? Keep reading though.
Con. All athletes are disciplined in their training. They do it to win a prize that will fade away, but we do it for an eternal prize.
Right. So every athlete that you competed against in life, even in this life without the sports, right? Everybody is practicing some type of discipline or doing something to help better themselves to win this race in life, right? They're doing something to help them be the best they can be to defeat life, right? To win the race of life. But others do it to win that prize that you can see now, to have all the money, to have the cars, the clothes. And if that's what your heart is desiring, then that's where I feel like you may be missing the mark, because you can't mix the flesh and blood and the kingdom together, in a spiritual sense, right? We're talking about the spiritual kingdom, because flesh and blood won't enter into that kingdom. You got to remember that you weren't born with all the money, all the cars, all the clothes. And even if you were born into that, it was never yours per se. It was passed down as an inheritance. So if you were born into money and stuff, you have a responsibility and a duty that if it's passed down to you, to maintain and actually build on that which you were given. But if you weren't born into that stuff, you shouldn't stress about not having it, because you got to realize that you were probably, now if this is you, I can't speak for everybody, but if you were somebody who had a somewhat fairly fair upbringing, it wasn't like you was out here, just going through the foster care system and having a such a hard childhood, then you got to understand that there was a point in time where you was making life work with bare minimum. Even if you're somebody who did go through the foster care system, did bounce from home to home, had a rough upbringing, if you're still here today, you got to think that all that stuff happened in the past. That was years ago, and you were able to overcome those obstacles, regardless of how you went through it. You were able to overcome those obstacles and be where you are here today. Even if you're still in the same position, you've been enduring this whole time, right? But keep building on that.
So I run with purpose in every step. I am not just shadow boxing.
Right. So if you're that person, whether or not your upbringing was fair or not, you're here today. And life has its own struggles today. That's why we don't kind of trip about, what tomorrow may bring, because today is filled with its own troubles, like it mentions in the book, I want to say, of 2 Timothy as well. But you have to understand that in order for you to get your mind out of this I can't win for losing thing, you got to be purposeful with your step, right? You got to be purposeful and intentional with everything that you're doing. And you're not doing this stuff just to, have the most money, the most cars, the most clothes. Because what is money if you're diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer and the doctor says you're going to die tomorrow? What is $1 million in your bank account right now? You know that you're not going to be able to spend that. Or if you do spend it, you're only going to spend it for people who's going to inherit it and have fun with it, because it's not going to be you. You got to think about what it is that you truly chasing. A lot of people who chase these materialistic items, I don't even think that they're really trying to chase that. They're trying to say that, that stuff brings them peace and happiness, when really the only thing that brings us peace and happiness, man, is following the laws and commandments of the Lord, right? But you got to be purposeful. Don't be shadow boxing out here, just in the practicing, practicing your jabs, because guess what? That's not profiting you nothing. You don't have a real opponent in front of your face when you shadow boxing. How do you know how to recover from getting hit? Because it's not about getting hit or giving a hit. It's about getting hit and being able to recover from it. I said this to myself today. The Most High is my witness. I said, man, a lot of people box and they all they want to do is practice offense. You know what I'm saying? They want to practice hitting the bag, working combos, recording videos to make it look good, to make it look like they know how to fight. But nobody really practices how to hit the canvas and get back up. Nobody is willing to just take a shot in the jaw just to see how strong of a chin you got and getting back up. And a lot of people, you gotta realize the Most High is putting us in positions where defense is the thing that we have to practice the most. How to defend ourselves from the spirits that come up against us. That's why we have Ephesians 6:12 or Isaiah 11:5, things to remind us that we have to stay girded with armor. But can you finish this out?
I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified.
Right. You have to discipline yourself, man. That's just like Galatians 6:1. I think read it on the live last week or the week before last, right? When it talks about, being compassionate when a brother falls, and don't forget that you could fall into that same temptation, that same snare. You have to remember that when you read stuff like this, when Paul is giving this wisdom and this counsel to the church of Corinth, to the people at Corinth, because all he's saying is that, look, man, what I'm trying to put under subjection is my body, because I'm not trying to make myself to be a hypocrite and fall into the same temptation that I'm telling y'all to not stop falling in, right? So that's what people have to realize. The biggest thing that you can do in life is focus on how can this situation make me better. It's easy to talk and hear messages about how you got to stay the course, but then when you're faced with them situations, you fall off.
Come on, man. He's saying to practice how you play, right? Practice how you play. Otherwise, I might end up catching myself slipping. right? He says he disciplines his body like an athlete, meaning he gives his body what's needful for it, what's going to help him in the long run, and he denies the things that don't need to go into his body like an athlete. Athlete don't be eating a lot of junk food. Athlete don't be doing certain things and putting trash in their body, right? Other matter of fact, what do? They hydrate their body, right? They make sure they put provisions in their body that's going to help them recover and be stronger, right? Be sober. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing in this walk spiritually. You got to know what to deny your flesh. You got to know what to feed it, right? Just like an athlete trains, you're supposed to train too. Just like an athlete is all, especially boxers, like the brother's been talking about. If you ask any boxer, most of them will tell you, "Hey, look, man, I'm ready to go whenever. You know, my training camp never stop. Even after the fight, man, I'm right back to the gym, right?" And so they're ready whenever. You should supposed to be ready whenever, especially spiritually. You know what I'm saying? Because we never know. You know, they plan their bouts. They plan their matches, right? But when you're walking in this truth, man, you can't really plan your matches, man. They just come when they come. The Lord sends them to you as He sees fit, and you got to be ready. So you always got to train your body in at all times. You might be going through a season where, man, it's been peace like Solomon for 2, 3, 4 years, right? Right. Don't slip up. Keep feeding those things that was needful for your body, and denying those things, because out of nowhere you might have to use that patience. You know, you might have to use that long suffering, right? You might have to come up out the mud when you least expect it. So always be ready. Practice how you play, right? Con.
That's mighty, because the brother says something important. Practice how you play, right? And everybody has to understand that at some point, man, we can't just talk the talk. And that, like, again, I don't just speak to y'all, the viewers, when I say this stuff. I'm also talking to myself, because what does Sirach 37:16 or 37:19 say? One of those two, where it says, "There is one that is wise and teacheth many, yet is unprofitable unto himself." You could be that type of person, right? There's been situations that I've probably given counsel on, and then when I was faced with the same situation, I probably didn't react the same way that I counsel somebody to, right? And I don't want to be a hypocrite. I'm not trying to be a Pharisee, but I have to learn from my mistakes and do things the same way that I instructed somebody to do as pertaining to the word, right? Go see what the Bible say about it and go handle the situation according to how our forefathers gave us a righteous example to do so, right? And that's why, again, it's important to remember that everybody runs the race of life. Some people, they get that reward, that first place reward often. You know, some people, they just get what the world associates with blessings when they're talking about like houses, car, clothes, good credit, all this good stuff. Some people get all the good stuff in life, and it's looking like life is just passing you by. But again, it's not that you can't win for losing. You begin to lose when you stop feeling like you can't win. When you start to feel like you can't win, that's when you truly begin to lose. But long as stuff keeps happening and you're examining your spirit and you're making all the checks and balances, all you got to do is recall the 3 things that, again, the brother Azrael brought up: patience, persistence, and integrity. Keep thine integrity. He did a lesson on that too, about keeping your integrity. Stay true, stay honest, right? Because if you lose patience, you begin to be fearful, and it makes you angry. That's when you begin to fall in sin. That's why Ephesians 4:26 says, "Be ye angry and sin not." Right? But let's close it out. I'll close it out on this. No, it's a lot. I'll close it out on this precept, man. Brother Denal, if you can read this, 2 Corinthians 13:5. Oh, let me share the tab. My bad. Come on. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Can you hear me?
Con.
Oh, okay. You said what?
My bad. I didn't know if you were ready for me to read it or not.
Oh yeah, read this 2 Corinthians 13:5.
The book of Second Corinthians, chapter 13, and verse number 5. Examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves.
Right. Examine yourselves, man. Constantly examine yourself when you're going through these things, right? Think about what you could be doing better, what you're not doing right, and if you feel like you're checking all the boxes, then examine yourself to make sure that, hey, am I straight? You know what I'm saying? Am I doing all right? Be honest. Have a conversation with a brother, phone a friend, talk to your spouse, talk to whoever you feel like you can come to in sincerity in this walk, and vent to them. Have them make sure that they check you to make sure that you're not puffing yourself up because you're checking all those boxes. Again, the beginning of pride is sin, or sin is the beginning of pride. Well, vice versa. It's just the same thing as Sarah, right? But needless to say, when you begin to puff yourself up because you feel like you're doing everything right, that's sometimes why the Lord makes it feel like, hey, you in a constant cycle of I can't win for losing, because you might be lived your whole life doing wrong, or if not even that, you probably did some stuff right, but then you started feeling good about yourself a little too much, and then the Lord had to humble you. That's why meekness is one of those fruits, man. If everyone stays humble and remember that we're just worms in this thing at the end of the day, the Lord can raise a wicked Jacob right now, you know what I'm saying, and bring him into this knowledge and cast us to reprobate minds. Stay humble, man. And that, again, as I talk to y'all, I talk to myself. You know what I'm saying? Brothers keep me in check. And I always need people to check me and humble me and remind me. And I try to do that to myself, to remind myself that I'm no better than nobody. You know what I'm saying? I'm not out here acting like I'm a celebrity or anything like that. But what I'm saying is I always have to remind myself to never be somebody to want to have that type of status. You know what I'm saying? Because we have examples of people who were famous in the eyes of the Lord, and that's all that matters. But examine yourselves and see whether you be in the faith. Make sure those fruits are lining up, because fruits is how you're going to know what type of tree it is. Are you a good tree or a bad tree? And if you feel like you can't win for losing, examine your fruits, examine yourself, and see where you're falling short at. So that way, hey, this race of life can change around for you, right? But brother, I don't got nothing else to add, man. If you got something to add on to that, go ahead, do your thing.
Mighty lesson. I think it's right on time, man. I think I got a lesson that's gonna coincide with it tomorrow.
Well, you heard it here first. The brother Denal said he'll be on here tomorrow. So I want to say, man, shalom on this lovely Wednesday or evening. It's your brother Yeshaya, man.
Brother Denal.
Man, brothers from the hopeful elect, man, bringing you a lesson. Most high willing, y'all were edified. I will say that, again, we'll definitely be on here tomorrow. So if it be the Lord will, so stay tuned. But hope you all have a good night's rest. I hope everyone has a peaceful and protected day tomorrow on the highways, on the byways, on your job sites, wherever you're going and what you're doing tomorrow. I just pray that, you have peace and you can reflect on some of the wisdom that the Most High has in his word for you to, be able to overcome these situations. But with that, I say shalom.
Shalom.